We're recording. Welcome to our Zoom, Healthy Habits. It is August the 7th, and thank you for coming. And those that are watching this recorded, I hope you get the benefit of it that we're going to get from it. Tonight, we're going to be talking about sleep. And the reason we're doing that is because of Tony. Tony got his National Geographic, and it was about sleep. I have added this little saying here on our cover page. You have to get to the point where you love your body and yourself enough to take care of it, because I was impacted by our meeting with our coach this week that we have on Tuesday, and she played a tape for us, and I've alluded to it, but it really struck me because she was talking about once a decision is made, you have to love yourself enough to make the decision first. But once the decision is made, then you don't have to litigate it again. Then the obstacles are no longer a problem because you truly have decided. But if you haven't decided, you're constantly litigating it. So this has a special meaning to me. You have to get to the point where you love your body enough and yourself enough to take care of it. It's just amazing that it's that simple. Now, if I can just get it inside my brain. I'm going to go ahead and I should actually go back and share with sound because I just got a little sound bite with Dr. A that's at the end, but I don't want to have to go out then, so we do it now. And what I'm going to do, and I don't know when this will finish, I think I'll get it done in a series of 3. I need help with the reading. But National Geographic, this is all August's cover, came out with the new science on sleep. And Tony brought it to me as soon as he read it, and he said, you really have to read this. Now, one of my big shortcomings when I started this was sleep. I literally, y'all heard me say it before, I literally lived on 4 hours, minimum 4 hours sleep a night. It was very hard for me to get, so everything that I learned while reading this National Geographic article, I can relate to on a personal level. But they actually equate sleep to eating and exercise, and they actually put it above eating and exercise. So that's why it's so important. It's why I decided I'm not going to cut any corners, and I'm going to take it from beginning to end and share it with you guys. Once we go through the National Geographic, I know what's in Dr. A's Habits of Health. And I know that nothing in this National Geographic article would be of news to him or surprise him. And everything that he taught me in his I think it's chapter 17, The Habits of Sleep, that I have incorporated. I now on a regular basis get 7 hours of sleep. And that's nothing short of a miracle. But we're going to cover the article in National Geographic first, and then we're going to end this series with covering chapter 17, The Habits of Health with Dr. A. I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this. Everybody can see it okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, Americans sleep less than 7 hours a night, about 2 hours less than a century ago. Sleep is seen as interrupting life, and I definitely felt that way. But the real scourge is chronic sleeplessness. If I keep missing 1 hour sleep a night from the recommended 8 hours sleep, then over my time, my lost sleep will be 10.5 hours in a week, 42 hours in a month, 21 days in a year, and 5 years in a lifetime. That's just missing 1 hour of sleep. I was missing 4 hours of sleep every day. Yes. So it's no wonder I developed all of the symptoms I developed. Nearly every night of our life, we undergo a startling metamorphosis. Our brain profoundly alters its behavior and purpose, dimming our consciousness. For a while, we become almost entirely paralyzed. Did anyone know that? I had heard that before. Did you? No. Did everyone know that you, at some point during the night, you're actually paralyzed?
No.
Anybody knew that? No?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So we can't even shiver. Our eyes, however, look at that, periodically dart about behind closed eyelids as if seeing, and the tiny muscles in our middle ear, even in silence, move as though we're hearing. We are sexually stimulated. Tony, that was the first time that first thing Tony told me. Yeah, we are sexually stimulated, men and women, both repeatedly during our sleep cycle. And we sometimes believe we can fly. I've done that. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay. And we approach the frontiers of death. We sleep. So sleep is like the precursor to death.
Wow.
In the brain, and the study of sleep shifted from philosophy to science. It is only in the past few decades, though, as imaging machines have allowed even deeper glimpses of the brain's inner workings, that we've approached what we are doing and why. So I saw this in many different forms, and every one of them said the very same thing. And you can see that your waking morning there on the left side, the 6:45 in the morning. I didn't know that, but that's your sharpest rise in blood pressure. You'll naturally have high blood pressure at that time. At 7:30, your melatonin secretion stops. At 8:30, I don't know because I haven't been watching, but I know it's somewhere around that time, and the bowel movement is likely. And then around 9 o'clock, the highest testosterone secretion. So we know what time, Tony, right? And and, and the high alertness. And I am at my best at 10 o'clock in the morning. I do know that. That's when I get the most done, especially if I try to be on my computer at that time because that's when my thinking is clearest. And then 2:30 in the afternoon, coordination, fastest reaction time around 3:30, greatest cardiovascular efficiency and muscle strength, highest blood pressure there in the evening, highest body temperature. And then around 9 o'clock, your melatonin secretion starts. And your bowel movements actually suppressed at 10:30. And then midnight, then you see where you go into your deepest sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. So this is a body clock, and it's science. It's a definite. So you can see how when we alter what we do, we're running in conflict with what we're supposed to be doing. Go ahead, Lisa. You want to read?
Everything we've learned about sleep has emphasized its importance to our mental and physical health. Our sleep-wake pattern is a central feature of human biology, an adaptation to life on a spinning planet with its endless wheel of day and night. Scientists Jeffrey Hall, Michael Rosbash, and Michael Young have won the 2017 Nobel Prize for Medicine for their discoveries of molecular mechanisms controlling our biological clocks. Life on Earth is adapted to the rotation of our planet. For many years, we have known that living organisms, including humans, have an internal biological clock that helps them anticipate and adapt to the regular rhythm of the day. But how does this clock actually work? Jeffrey C. Hall, Michael Rosbash, and Michael Young were able to peek inside our biological clock and elucidate its inner workings. Their discovery explains how plants, animals, and humans adapt their biological rhythm so that it is synchronized with the Earth's revolutions.
Whoever thought about the Earth spinning having anything to do with our sleep pattern? And it's a real thing. And even the sun plays into it. Mm-hmm. We're going to discover what we are doing right and what we are doing wrong. These three scientists who identified the molecular lock inside our cells that aims to keep us in sync with the sun. When this circadian rhythm breaks down, recent research has shown we are at increased risk for illnesses such as diabetes, heart disease, and dementia. Yet an imbalance between lifestyle and sun cycle has become epidemic. It seems we are living in a world of negative consequences of sleep deprivation. Marcia, you want to read?
Sure. The average American today sleeps less than 7 hours a night, about 2 hours less than a century ago. This is chiefly due to the proliferation of electric lights, followed by televisions, computers, and smartphones. In our restless, floodlit society, we often think of sleep as an adversary, a state depriving us of productivity and play. Thomas Edison, who gave us the light bulb, said, "In the old days, man went up and down with the sun. A million years from now, he won't go to bed at all." Really, sleep is an absurdity, a bad habit. We can't suddenly throw off the, what is that?
I would call it thraldom, but it's an old
Thraldom of the habit.
Thraldom of habit, but we shall throw it off.
Okay. So you can see where that thought comes when electricity came into existence.
Yeah.
A full night's sleep now feels as rare and old-fashioned as a handwritten letter. And that's true. We all seem to cut corners, fighting insomnia through sleeping pills, guzzling coffee to slap away yawns, ignoring the intricate journey we're designed to take each evening. On a good night, we cycle 4 or 5 times through several stages of sleep, each with distinct qualities and purpose. A serpentine, surreal descent into an alternative world. Dorothy, you want to go take us through the cycles or the stages?
All right, the typical sleep cycle. Stage 1, transition phase, light sleep. Muscle activity slows down and slight twitching can occur, easily awakened. Stage 2, breathing pattern and heart rate slow down. Overall, we spend the greatest part of our sleep in this stage. Stage 3, the brain begins to produce delta waves. Breathing and heart rate are at their lowest level. Stage 4, rhythmic breathing and limited muscle activity. If awakened, you might feel groggy for several minutes. REM sleep, not conscious brain, very active, most dreams, eyes dart about, breathing rate and blood pressure rise, bodies paralyzed. And in the center, it says cycle can take 90 to 110 minutes and then start again.
Wow.
Yeah. Lisa?
At the top, risk of death goes up.
After a while of no sleep.
Risk of death goes up, decrease in fertility, risk of heart disease increases, risk of diabetes goes up, risk of some cancers may increase, higher risk of obesity, stroke risk quadruples. Risk of death goes up.
Wow.
Who would think that, huh? Go ahead, Lisa.
Stages 1 and 2. The initial transformation happens quickly. The human body does not like to stall between states, lingering doorways. We prefer to be in one realm or another, wake or sleep. So we turn off the lights and lie in bed and shut our eyes. If our circadian rhythm is pegged to the flow of daylight and dark, and if the pineal gland at the base of our brain is pumping melatonin, signaling it's nighttime, and if an array of other systems align, our neurons swiftly fall asleep.
Marcia?
Neurons, some 86 billion of them, are the cells that form the
Oh, that's the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web.
of the brain, communicating with each other via electrical and chemical signals. When we're fully awake, neurons form a jostling crowd, a cellular lightning storm. When they fire evenly and rhythmically, expressed on an EEG by neat ripple lines, it indicates that the brain has turned inward, away from the chaos of waking life. At the same time, our sensory receptors are muffled and soon we're asleep. Scientists call this phase 1, the shallow end of sleep. It lasts maybe 5 minutes.
And you can tell which one is which, right?
Mm-hmm.
The pictures?
Yeah.
Dorothy?
Then, ascending from deep in the brain comes a series of electric sparks that zap our cerebral cortex.
Yeah.
The pleated gray matter covering the outer layer of the brain, home of language and consciousness. These half-second bursts called spindles indicate we've entered stage 2. Our brains aren't less active when we sleep, as was long thought, just differently active. Spindles, and I'm not seeing a little bit of it, spindles something theorized stimulate the cortex in such a way as to preserve recently acquired information and perhaps also to link it to established knowledge in long-term memory. In sleep labs, where people have been introduced to certain new tasks, mental or physical, their spindle frequency increases that night. The more spindles they have, it seems the better they perform the task the next day. The strength of one's nightly spindles, some experts have suggested, might even be a predicator of general intelligence. Sleep literally makes connections you might never have consciously formed, an idea we have all intuitively realized. How many times have you said, just let me sleep on it?
Yep. That's good.
The waking brain is optimized for collecting external stimuli. The sleeping brain is for consolidating the information that has been collected. At night, that is, we switch from recording to editing, a change that can be measured on the molecular scale. We're not just mechanically filing our thoughts. The sleeping brain actively curates which memories to keep and which to toss. It doesn't necessarily choose wisely. Sleep reinforces our memory so powerfully, not just in stage 2, where we spend about half of our sleeping time, but throughout the looping voyage of the night, that it might be best, for example, if exhausted soldiers returning from harrowing missions did not go directly to bed, to forestall post-traumatic stress disorder. The soldiers should remain awake for 6 to 8 hours, according to neuroscientists. Her research suggests that sleeping soon after a major event, before some of the ordeal is mentally resolved, is more likely to turn the experience into long-term memory. That's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
Not practical though.
It is. You can make that. I could make that decision. If something bad happened to me, I could decide not to go to sleep right away. Lisa, you want to read this?
Stage 2 can last up to 15 minutes during the night's first 90-minute sleep cycle. It typically occupies a smaller portion of subsequent cycles. Spindles can arrive every few seconds for a while, but when these eruptions taper off, our heart rate slows, our core temperature drops. Any remaining awareness of the external environment disappears. We commence the long dive into stages 3 and 4, the deep parts of sleep.
So, we're going to have a little word with Dr. Anderson on sleep. I was able to find that.
Million Americans don't sleep well, and it's a key part, by the way, of obesity. People don't realize it, but they work together. If you're not sleeping well, you're much more likely to eat fatty and sugary food. So one of the things we work on is, rather than trying to use diet or exercise, diets by themselves don't work. 85% of people that lose weight gain it back within 2 years. So we look at all the lifestyle choices, and in little baby steps, we start moving people so the additive effect of those choices moves them towards health. And you're absolutely right, Jerome. Sleep is a critical part. When we sleep well, we lower our inflammatory state. We're more likely to make healthy choices, not just in how we eat, but all the other things. We're likely to be more active, and all the things that are necessary to create long-term optimal health.
All right. Getting enough sleep is just as important as eating well and exercise. So I'm going to take this out because I like to see everybody. My takeaway was significant because, like I said, I have deprived myself of sleep most of my life. And I have takeaways from the rest of the article that I read that I can't share with you because I haven't done it. So I will say my takeaway on this part is I was really shocked at how we ignore the part of being attached to the rotation of the earth, and our rhythm of sleep is tied to the light, the night and the day, and how much that we have the access to light now that interferes with us getting the sleep we need, and how little importance we place on sleep. It interferes with our life. A typical night's sleep for me, it looks like now, if I told you what I used to do, it would be terrible. But now I'm in bed by 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I'm up usually by 6. And where I used to have to, when I have a restless night, I do get naps during the day, which you really, if you're really getting a good night's sleep, and that's part of this, you won't need those naps. Those naps are a sign that you're not getting the sleep that your body needed. So it's still looking for it. Just like when you're not getting the nutrition and food you need, you're still eating. That's one of the things, that when you nourish your body, you don't have the appetite that you have when you're still looking for nutrients. What I'm most grateful for today is that I remembered to go to work, because I didn't think I would today. That was like startling to me when I realized I had to work today. And what I want to share most today is what a great time I had with Tony. I'm so glad we did that. And it was really great to be with Dorothy and Gay and Lisa at convention. And I will pass this to Dorothy.
I go to bed at 9:30 and I get up before 6. But I dream. For the last 2 years, I dream. I never did dream before, but for the last 2 years, I dream all night long.
And you remember your dreams?
Sometimes I do. Well,
Oh.
I had one that was very, someone was breaking into the house and that whole scenario. But I never used to dream it, that I remembered,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't dream before, but I do now. What I'm most grateful for is always that Mom is doing good.
Amen.
Yeah, she's doing good. What I want to most share today, golly, life is good, I guess. That's all I can say. Life is good.
Any takeaways?
Yeah, I think that that the particular stages, I didn't know all of that. And I do know that certain things happen in your sleep cycle, even more than just what they've got on there. There's a lot of other chemicals that go on in your body, or hormones, or things that I just recently learned about cortisol and stuff like that. But it was very interesting, very interesting. And it was wonderful being at the convention with you guys, Lisa, Tony, and Connie, and Gay. It was just very good.
And you and Lisa was like, and you kept hearing this everywhere about, because of Zoom, people were meeting people for the first time, but it didn't feel like it.
Exactly. It didn't
Feel like it at all.
Yeah, did not feel like it at all. Yep.
Strange.
Okay, Marcia.
Okay. My takeaway from reading is I really didn't realize all the problems that lack of sleep can create in the body. So that was an eye-opener for me. Typical night's sleep for me looks like I watch all my recorded shows. I go on the computer, and usually between 12 and 1:30 I go to sleep, but I don't get out of bed until maybe like 8 or 8:30. So I like to start later and get up later. I've always been like that. That's my body clock. What I'm most grateful for today is that I finally made that connection about the healthy lifestyle, where it's not just about the weight loss now and looking good. It's really about the health. So it's going to make a profound difference, I think, in maintaining my weight. There's no way I'm going back to what I was doing. It's just crazy. So, okay. Tony?
Yes, hello, how are you? Like I tell everybody, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Anyway, my takeaway is I read the article and I got really, really excited about a lot of things there in it. And surprising that the body rejuvenates itself during the night. And everybody sleep, everybody dreams. You dream every night. You may not remember it, but automatically everybody dreams. I didn't know that because I don't ever remember. Now, when I came back from vacation, I began to dream. For about 3 or 4 days, I dreamed all some crazy stuff that I never had before. but
wow.
I don't know.
Guideline
I
people.
typical night for me to go to sleep is I go to bed with Connie about 10. She goes to sleep about 2 seconds after she says, I love you, honey. She'll be talking to me about something, saying, okay, you know, we have to do. And in the middle of a sentence, boom, just gone. So I stay up another half an hour. And I set the TV and because I have it going and I turn to go to sleep. So I usually fall asleep before the TV goes off. And then I have a problem. I usually wake up 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm awake. I need to get up. And it doesn't matter what time I go to bed. So I need to go to bed early to get my 8 hours. Now, using my Apple Watch has helped me because it tells me how many hours I sleep every day. So I know if I slept 7.5 hours, 8 hours or less. So I'm grateful that I have that. That's my grateful that I have a watch that I could wear. The tells me you're messing up or you're doing good. And what I want to share today is that, well, the trip was fantastic. We all have fun over the convention, but I spent 5 days with my son, and we had a ball while we were there.
Oh,
It was
good.
We had great time. We played golf 3 days, and we spent time with the grandchildren. You know, it was really, really good. I enjoyed it very much, and that's my
Story, and you're sticking to it.
yep.
You going to pass to Lisa?
Yes, Lisa, it's your turn.
This is a topic that's particularly dear to me because for so many years I had severe insomnia. I would be awake for 2 or 3 days and then just pass out. And
Really?
it was so profound that I worked with a doctor and I had different sleep medications. Some for if I had school the next day so I wouldn't be zombied out. So it was quite a process, and so I experienced the just devastation. And so now it's good to have a life where I do get normal sleep. My rhythm is kind of messed up from the trip, but I feel confident I'll get back. And my normal was 9:30, 10 o'clock in bed and up between 7 and 8. So that works well for me. But also, you were talking about dreaming, Dorothy. When I was going through that, I had really horrible dreams, like horrible, and I remember them, and they were so horrible they traumatized me. Now I'm just the opposite. I don't dream. I have peaceful sleep, so I think that's pretty amazing. And
They're fine, Marsha. They're fine. They're music.
Oh, okay.
what
I was going to
what I'm most grateful for today is I'm home. I'm done. I'm living the dream. What I want to share most today is I'm so glad I'm home. Living the dream.
What was your takeaway, Lisa?
I don't know. I thought that was interesting about the soldiers not going to sleep right away, and the reason why I said that's practical is based upon my experience in theater in Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. You didn't have enough time to sleep, and especially like the drivers, they would be on the road for such extended periods of time under such stressful conditions, driving in blackout, that when they made it back to the tent, there was no waiting a little while to go to sleep. They were out. So that was interesting that could be helpful. I just myself didn't see it as practical, but that's something that could be explored if that would help troops.
Yeah.
Don't feel that. You know, I'm going to say that in the article, Japan gets the less sleep than any other nation because they work so many hours. They get up early in the morning, they get in the subway, they get home, and they fall asleep in the train. They actually fall asleep and standing up in sidewalks in restaurants.
And it's
They're
acceptable.
having lunch because they're not getting enough sleep. They fall asleep all over the place. And so they don't get more than 5 to 6 hours sleep in
We'll
Japan.
cover that, though. We're going to cover that.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. There's so much, and it was really hard for me to make that choice.
So that's what was happening with the the soldiers that you're talking about, they were working so many hours, and then, the moment they got, the whole body said collapsed and went to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tony, when you guys were, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but when you were lost behind the lines and you would sleep
We,
in
we didn't sleep well. No,
Yeah.
we slept any chance we got, but somebody had to be awake all the time.
Yeah, okay.
Somebody had to be awake all the time, so we switched. I sleep 2 hours, he stays awake 2 hours, we sleep 2 other hours. So yeah, we didn't get a lot of sleep. That's the reason we got skinny, we didn't eat. Yep. It's bad for your body.
Well, that was great. Thank you, everybody. Let's see what else I got here. I think that's pretty much it. Your happiness is in your hands. Stop wishing and start doing it. We are.
I like that.
I like that. That was nice. I like that.
End of another wonderful gathering. Our huddle up went great tonight, and we'll share this recording with everyone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everybody want to say good night?
Good night.
Good night.
Wish you could
Good
have been.
night. Bye.